we have a hypothetical question. We love those here at Hardware Unboxed. If CPUs and GPUs were readily available at their MSRPs, I think that's too much. You shouldn't pose. Don't do that to people. How would you each build a modest budget gaming PC? So like $1,200 US. I'm curious to see if one of you would put more towards one component than the other, and how the overall balance of the builds would go.
All right, so what would you do?
Well, you were doing what you do, made a few notes because I read this question. Cool. Is that cheating?
It's cheating, yes.
Well, I'm going to cheat. So I went to Newegg and had a quick look, and I worked out. So I would, right now, I'd get the Intel Core i5-10400F because it's $180. Actually, I think... Yes, that's what I would go with. Yeah, the 10400F, because I think that's slightly cheaper than the 11400F.
Yep.
It was $180 at the moment, so I thought that was pretty good.
Deal.
Didn't check the 11400F, but if that's a similar price, maybe get that with a motherboard to suit. The reason I didn't go with the Ryzen 5 3600 is because it's $220 US, so that's like $40 more. And then the Ryzen 5 5600X is like $300 if you can find it. So I think the 10400F is probably the best value. What are we doing? Modest gaming PC CPU at the moment.
Yep.
As for cooler, feel free to do your own research because I certainly didn't. The Cooler Master Blizzard T400i looked like
cool name.
Well, Cooler Master make good value coolers, and this is $25 US. So 140mm fan, decent looking aluminium heatsink with some copper heat pipes and stuff like that. It's a 10400F. I'm pretty sure that will allow that CPU to run without power limits. MSI Z490A Pro, because I have tested that board, very good value board, currently $180 US and in stock, so that's good. Yep. 16 gigabytes of Crucial Ballistics DDR4 3600 CL16 memory, that's $95. You can save like $20 by getting like 3200 memory with lesser timings, but I think that's pretty good sweet spot memory. Team Group T-Force Cardia 0Z330 1TB hard drive or SSD, $100. So
good deal.
I think a 1 terabyte's a good amount of storage for a modest PC because you're not having to uninstall games and all that. And of course, you can add a spinning disk later. I guarantee this one I'll get critiqued on this. So the EVGA Supernova 750G Plus power supply was $110. Not a power supply expert, but that looked like a pretty good power supply.
Oh, if it's not in that PSU tier list thing that I see from time to time, you're going to get wrecked.
Didn't check the PSU tier list, but this one looked okay on paper to me, so looking forward to getting wrecked. For the cases, again, highly subjective, but I think the Corsair 4000D Airflow, I was surprised when I saw it's $95. I built the... What did I build in that? I think it was the Z590 test system with the Aorus Master 11.
Nice.
Awesome case. $95. I think that's pretty good. I think it's good. And then that leaves us with enough budget for a Gigabyte GeForce RTX 3060 Ti, which is selling, it's selling for $400, isn't available, but of course we're talking about if it was available. That would come out to $1,185 US, leaving me with $15 left over, and I'd take Tim out for a cheap lunch.
Yeah, very cheap. We're going to Macca's on that one.
Well, it's 15 US.
15 US. Ooh.
It's like 100 Australian.
That's a pretty good build. The things I'd be wondering, I should
have made you go first, damn it.
Well, I would have made a build that's almost exactly the same. So first of all, I definitely would have said 10400F, but I was wondering, would an RTX 3060 or 3060 Ti fit in the budget? Mm-hmm. 3060 Ti, you've managed to fit in there.
Squeeze that in there.
The one thing I'd be wondering is like, can we cheap out a bit on the motherboard and go like B560 and run a 10400F on it? Potentially that's one area that I'd be looking at.
Yeah, that's maybe a better way to go or a different way for sure.
But it's like, does that get you an extra CPU tier or an extra GPU tier? Potentially it does. So that's probably what I'd be thinking of within that budget. And then, just the usual optimization of like cases and stuff. I always really cheap out on cases, so whatever $50 piece of crap's available is what I'd go for. And but I think that's you're generally going to be looking at a 10400F like processor with an RTX 3060 like GPU, and if you can really penny pinch, then you might be able to push that up to a 3070. or a 6700 XT.
Yeah, you might be able to. I doubt it though. Like
I do doubt as well. You might
like basically, if you go with the 11400F, I think that's $20 more. Then you're looking at saving about $40 maybe on the motherboard. So you're $20 ahead. Then
so
you get
a slightly better CPU, basically, is what you may be optimizing.
And then you get a crappier case, so you're just saving a slightly more money. But I think the Corsair 4000D is an awesome case, and really you could keep that for well over a decade.
Yeah,
like that is a really high quality case, plenty of expansion. The only reason you wouldn't buy that case is that it's a bit too big, maybe for your use case. But if size is an issue, that's a case you can see many builds through. So for $95, you're gonna get your money's worth out of that. And then, I went for the 3060 Ti because it's currently the cheapest current generation GPU, apart from the 3060. What's the 6700 XT? It's
480. Yeah, 480, 479. Yep.
Yep. So, no, I think the 3060 Ti, I believe, is winning on my cost per frame charts.
If only they existed.
If only they existed.
Yeah.
So, anyway, enjoy that lunch.